1.
I don't know if this qualifies as a glitch in the Matrix, but I might as well tell it. When I was around 6 or 7, I woke up anywhere between midnight to 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve night. It would have been early Christmas morning, but you know what I mean. Because I had to go to the bathroom. I looked down the hallway to see the Christmas tree, and I swear on my life that I saw a man in red and white by the tree doing stuff. I don't know what he was actually doing, but he never saw me. I went to the bathroom with the lights out and the door open. It's something I did when I was younger, and I'm not quite sure why. And then I tiptoed back to my room and fell back asleep. As a kid, I was always really skeptical. I kind of believed in Santa Claus, but it really seemed like it didn't make sense to me. I don't know what happened, but that night, I've never forgotten.
2.
One Christmas, when I was about 7 years old, I had gotten the same present in my stocking from both Santa and from my parents. They seemed a little freaked out by it at the time, and then when I asked them about it after they told me he wasn't real a couple of years later, they didn't remember anything about it.
3.
I was playing racquetball with my roommate one fall afternoon when we both experienced something totally out of the ordinary. After a point, I ran up to the back wall to retrieve that ball, and as I bent down, I had the strongest feeling of Christmas. You know, I smelt the pine tree, I saw myself putting up decorations. I even heard Nat King Cole singing in the background. It was all in a split second, and I heard myself saying, "Hey man, are you feeling Christmas?" out loud. My buddy just looked at me dumbfounded and nodded his head. He had the exact same experience. It became incredibly cold in the big white box we were in, and I've never felt more isolated. We just looked at each other and got the hell out of there. We never talked about it after that. I remember this randomly, and it still freaks me out whenever I play racquetball.
4.
So I was living at a boarding school, and me and some friends were the only ones left on the school because everyone else was home celebrating Christmas. One night we decided to watch Antichrist, the movie. It was late and we began to feel tired when we got to the point where the main character finds a fox in the woods. It's a jump scare, so it got our attention. The fox said, "Chaos reigns," and then faded to black. And now, I kid you not, the TV turned off when it had faded to black, and the whole room turned black. At first we were like, what the hell? Not really understanding what was going on, when suddenly the door behind us closed really loud, like BAM! At this point, people started to scream, and we went crazy. I usually do not get scared, but I remember that when I heard the screams of my friends, my brain basically said, this is the end. After a while, we started walking through the school corridors trying to see if there was anything else scary going on. Then I took up my cell phone to call one of my friends who was missing all of this. I typed in his number and called, but then I just heard the most terrifying sound in the world. Like rewinding whispers really loud from 5 people all at the same time. Then the power went on again after like 3 hours, and then we all went to bed. I had to keep my lights on to sleep. I was so scared.
Five.
Some backstory is needed for this one, and it's kind of a long story. My mother and father separated when I was in high school. My dad had gambled away a lot of money, including the family savings and his kids' college savings. He refused help, so my mom kicked him out. He battled mental issues and attempted suicide a bunch of times after that. His brothers and sisters tried to cover it up and shield us from it, but we always found out. He cleaned up his act enough for my mom to send us to spend Christmas with him. On New Year's Day of January 2011, I had to go over to his house because I left my laptop charger there. I knocked a bunch of times, and he didn't answer, so I went around to the garage, and he was sitting in the driver's seat of his car, looking blankly ahead. I called at him, and he kind of woke up. He let me into the house, and I got my charger, and I hugged him and tried to say happy things, etc., and then I left. A couple days later, in January, I got a text from him saying he couldn't do it anymore. He just wanted to die, etc. I told him that he needed to get help, and I had tried everything to help him that I could, but it wasn't enough for him. I told him that as long as he was trying this stuff, I couldn't stick around. I put my phone away and did some homework and some stuff, and then I got ready for bed. As I was getting into bed, I got hit by this wave of nausea and this overwhelming sweet taste in my mouth. I figured it was something that I ate, so I brushed my teeth a couple more times, and it wouldn't go away. I figured there was something wrong. I went to go tell my mom, but I couldn't find her. I went into the garage, and she was sitting in her car staring blankly ahead of her. I called at her, and just like my dad, she just kind of woke up. I told her the taste, and that's when my knees got knocked out from under me, and I hit the concrete floor of the garage hard. My mom pulled me up and brought me to bed and gave me a glass of water. My knees hurt and the taste lingered, but I finally fell asleep. That night, I had a dream that I was working at a bookstore. I was helping faceless customers purchase books when my dad approached me to help him find a few books. In my dream, Dad did not treat me like his daughter, so I just helped him like normal. He said he needed a book that would be good for a very long, very painful journey. I gave him Anna Karenina and told him to enjoy his trip and let me know how it goes. To which, in my dream, my dad replied, "Don't worry, you already know how it goes." I woke up the next day and went about my business. Bruises were forming on my knees from where I had fallen the night before, but it wasn't too painful. I was supposed to watch my brothers that night since my mom worked. I had just made supper and decided to watch a movie while I ate. There was a knock at the door and my brother answered. My aunt and uncle from my dad's side of the family had come over. They sat us down and let us know that my father had died sometime yesterday. It wasn't until a few days after we found out that my father had killed himself by drinking antifreeze. He was discovered in his garage on the cement floor. Anna Karenina was sitting on the passenger seat of his car. The coroner's report stated that he had dark bruises on his knees from falling.